to figure out why it happened. For me, I would speak about, my first marriage. I really wasn't in a space, and I really wasn't in a position to get married when I did. I was in a very different state of mind, and this is the genesis of a lot of problems. When you get married, sometimes we just focus so much on that word that says, hey, we cannot be equally yoked. So if he's not a Christian, I can't marry him, or if he's not from my ethnicity, I can't marry him, or something like that. But it goes so much deeper than that. I was in a different space of mind. When I got married, the first time, I would say, the first time that I got married, I was in a place where I was feeling very lonely. I had some struggles with my self-esteem. I was battling with the fact that I've been with my family for a long, long time. We're a very close-knit family. And here I was in the middle of America. I'd moved, literally migrated from Nigeria over here. And I'd been on my own for a long time. And I was just tired of being on my own. I just wanted to be with somebody. And this was somebody who had professed love to me. Um, for many, many years, and saying, hey, I love you. I love you. The reality is that love is an action word. So it's an action verb. So it's not a noun. It's not something that you just say. You exemplify love by the things that you do, not just by the words of your mouth. And I believed that, I don't know how many individuals are on here or how many ladies are on here, but a lot of ladies can attest to reading romance novels. And, it's not easy for the guy to say he loves you. And then when he says he loves you, it's like the whole world just shatters. And it's like, oh, yes, and that's final. But realizing that love is an action word, and it's continuous. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop by the acceptance of that love back. It doesn't stop by, hey, we got married and now we sealed the deal and we're official. But it's a word that is exemplified every day, every hour, every minute, every second that you are with this person, to let them know. And I mean, the Bible talks a lot about, love and what love is. But I think that most of us don't know how to display love or how to exemplify love, because maybe we haven't even seen a true glimpse of it in our own personal lives.
So what you're saying is that in this first relationship that you were in,
Mhm.
it wasn't really true love.
I can't say it wasn't true love. It was my understanding of love at that time.
And
And
what was your understanding of love at that time?
that, hey, if you say it, you must mean it.
So,
That if you say that you love someone, then you must mean it. Not understanding all the additional things that come with that. It's sacrificial. Am I willing to give up, what I want to do for what you want to do? Am I willing to be uncomfortable to make you comfortable? Am I willing to meet you halfway on some of the things I don't necessarily agree with? Um, I mean, love is just not, I would say the puppy, the doe-eyed, butterflies in your stomach, like you said. I mean, that's all part of it. That's the eros part of love. That's the chemistry part of love. That's your physical reaction, to someone that you're in love with. But love is, like I said, a daily walk in sacrifice. And when we got married, we were very young. Like I said, I didn't have a full understanding of that. I don't think I even really knew myself enough to love myself. And and I think that's where you also start. You have to love yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to love yourself to be able to receive love completely. And if you don't have that, nobody can really give you true love, because you don't even know what it looks
so one of the issues that you
like.
had was basically you didn't have enough love for yourself, you didn't have
Ah, yeah.
enough confidence, and you didn't understand the ideal relationship, what it's supposed to look like. Your version of marriage at that point in time is
Exactly.
different. So your version of marriage, where did you get that from?
So I think that, just my parents have been married. I don't even know how long they've been married. They're still married. They've been together. My mom and dad have been together since my mom was 15, and my mom is going to be 70 next year. So Do the math.
Right.
um and they've been married, and of course I mean, growing up, seeing them, how they worked through challenges, and how they were partners in a lot of things. My parents were entrepreneurs as well as, career workers. My mom wasn't necessarily always home because, hey, she had to work, and just seeing how they partnered with that. So I would say that was my basic, example, from my own experience. My parents were really partners in everything that they did. Now the intricacies of who handled what and what percentage, that I didn't know, but I knew that, decisions were made together as a couple. I would say that in my first marriage, no, that wasn't the case. And it really created a lot of friction and a lot of conflict because we didn't have the same, I would say we didn't have the same baseline values. And we didn't have, similar experiences. His experience was completely different from mine. He came from a polygamous home, where his dad had, several wives. And so he had, stepbrothers and sisters, and the idea, I would say, of what marriage looked like was completely different for him, right? And so we just had a lot of conflict regarding that.
So there were a lot of differences in that
Yeah.
relationship,
Hmm.
and those differences affected your marriage, that you guys could
Definitely.
not see eye to eye. So you were not able
Definitely.
to bridge the gap between your differences.
Definitely. Definitely. I actually wrote something down prior to, us getting on the phone, and kind of wanted to just maybe highlight that,
Sure.
when we think, about marriage, again, this word is often thrown around, you know, um, not being equally yoked, and all of that. And you're thinking, hey, if I'm getting with you, and we think about it, I would say, very one dimensionally. We think about it from the standpoint of, okay, at least he must be a Christian. And that's a baseline for me. If he's a Christian, then okay, we're good to go. However, there's so many different facets to that. Unequally yoked is not just based on religion. It's based on so many other factors. It's, based on, our values, based on what we prioritize, based on how we handle and manage things. Because, when you think about the when this whole analogy of yoke is not just what we're thinking about. It's actually what used to happen back in the days, where two oxen were required to pull, cargo. The yoke had to be, balanced. If the yoke wasn't balanced, then one oxen will, and that's like a cow or a bull or whatever, would pull, and will be pulling all the weight of let me see.
Where am
Okay, sorry. No, I just saw that. I was like, okay. And one of the bull will be pulling and the other one will be lagging, but eventually one of them is going to, either the stronger one is going to be overwhelmed with the weight that he's pulling, or the weaker one is going to be dragged by the strength of that other one. Something has to give. One of them is going to have to conk out, because one can't keep pulling the weight and the other one can't keep dragging. That's why it has to be even, so that there's no stress or strain upon the animals that are pulling this weight, as well as, there's no kind of, I would say, disaster that happens while they're pulling this, and you don't hurt um the cargo or whoever is sitting on there. So I think that was one of the things that really occurred to me, that we were not yoked, even though we went to high school together. We had known each other since high school. Literally, we were from the same tribe, kind of like the same area. He knew my parents and all of that, but we just were not on the same page regarding a lot of things. We didn't talk about a lot of things. All we talked about was like, oh my God, I love you, and I love you, and we would have that, you know. I mean, it was a long distance relationship for a long time, and we didn't talk about, I would say, very important things. We just kind of really focused on ourselves and our relationship, and stayed in that bubble. And then, of course, when we finally got together, got married, reality hit. And I'm like, we kind of different. You different the way you think about things. I'm different about, I mean, the way I think about things and the way I handle things. So,
Wow. I mean, you said a lot right there. But most importantly is being equally yoked with the partner.
Right.
And that was what was missing in your
Yeah.
relationship. And when we think about being equally yoked, it's not just from the standpoint of religion,
No.
that we must be on the same religion, we are both Christians or both Muslim
Right.
or whatnot, but being equally yoked and compatible. We're talking about compatibility in so many
Mhm.
ways. Compatibility spiritually, that we just mentioned, compatibility health wise,
Right.
compatibility in your values, in
Right.
what you prioritize, what is really more important to you,
Right.
families wise as well, uh,
Right.
finances,
Oh
compatibility
my God. Yeah.
intellectually as well. I mean,
Yes.
those things are very important to kind of dig those things out prior to saying, yes, I do, because
Hmm.
otherwise, that relationship is just going to be on a superficial level, meaning that it's all about your feelings. I just love you,
Right.
I care about you, but not really understanding that there are other things that are hanging on that feelings. If those things are missing, then it's easier for those feelings to just kind of dwindle or fizzle away. And I think that
Right.
is exactly what is happening for young marriages, in the sense that they got into the relationship because of the feelings. And there's nothing wrong with the feelings. But there
Right.
are other areas that you got to check the box that, okay, this check for me. I can relate with this person. Friendship. We are really friends. We can talk about so many things. We don't
Right.
hide anything. So those are very important information to kind of understand before getting to marriage. But what can you really say broke the camel's back? What would you say is like the epitome of your challenge or your challenges that you like, wow, this is it?
So I think that for me, what really was the deciding factor, and it was by no means any easy feat to make that decision. I was conflicted a lot because the narrative had been, hey, as a woman, you're supposed to bear, and you're supposed to, hey, just buckle down. And there's a Yoruba saying, for those who are not Yoruba, I'll explain it later. Suru loko obirin. Like, just be patient, he will change. And, you just have to, you as the woman, just have to be patient, and you have to deal with all the things that come with that. I didn't necessarily agree with that school of thought, number one, because I like I said, I had a different view and a different example of marriage in my own personal life. My parents resolved their conflicts by talking, and by, sometimes they would even involve us children. So what do you children think? That type of thing. We were involved in maybe giving our own opinions, or our own, I would say, at least mindset on certain matters, and that would be the way it would be resolved. I just wasn't used to, I mean, it's my way or the highway. It just didn't work. And I think that I came to a point, I think this was about our fifth year in marriage. So, and I came to a point where I was like, there's not going to be any changing. We've tried everything. Suggesting let's go in for counseling, but it wasn't counseling on what we could both agree on. It was counseling based on, this is the person, if I'm going to go to counseling, this is the person I'm going to select, and that's it. And it just didn't feel like a balanced relationship. It wasn't a balanced relationship, and I felt that, for me to continue in the relationship would have been to really, I would say, um, be putting myself in harm's way in every sense of the word, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, in every way. And as I mentioned, I just didn't have that, and I'm so grateful to God that I had, I would say, a better example to look to, because not a lot of people have that. A lot of people, would bear the brunt. And of course, before I made that decision, it was torment. I went back and forth with myself, and eventually I just, kind of said, all right, God, I'm going to need you to lead me in this direction. And God spoke to me clearly, and said, okay, are you ready? And I said, yes, I am. And I was able to walk away with, my mind just knowing that I'd given it everything that I could. I'd done the best that I could. You're we
Oh,
can't hear you.
yeah.
Okay.
Interesting thing that you just said right now that before you handed it, you guys kind of went for counseling, but
We tried to.
tried. So did you actually go, or it was just more of a talk?
So I can't say that it was counseling that was beneficial to me,
Mhm,
because it wasn't a counselor who I would say was a neutral party.
mhm. Okay.
So
And before you made the decision that you were going to walk away, you spoke to God. You asked God if
mhm,
it's okay to for you to leave this relationship.
right.
And what did God say to you?
He said yes. He said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And I think that sometimes, and this is not just. I don't think it's just Christians. I think whatever religion that you're in, or that you are, as well as whatever your cultural background is. I think for those of us who have more of an ethnic cultural background, we have a really hard time with the idea of divorce,
Mhm,
right? And I'm not by in no way or means advocating divorce, but you do have to understand that divorce was created so that people can say, I made a mistake. you know I made a mistake. I've given it my all, and this is not working. Divorce was created, I believe, by Abraham back, it was or Moses back in the day, because of just people wanting to be with other people. And he's like, listen, you guys can't just go from one person to another person to another person. You're hurting people this way, right? You can't just wake up one morning and say, we might still be married, but I want to go live separately. Let's give you a legal way to be able to do this and separate from that person. And that's why divorce was created. Divorce is not, I would say, a cardinal sin. It's a sin nonetheless, as described in the Bible. But also remember, you may have made a mistake. In my case, I made a mistake. I was not in the right frame of mind. I was not in a position to get married. I married someone and I was like, hey, we will try to make it work. We tried as much as possible. It didn't work out. And I had to make peace with my decision in that regard. And I had to pray to God and say, do I have grace to continue to be in this relationship, or I really want out. And he said, are you ready? Are you ready to leave? And I said, yes, I am. And literally, that decision, I made it, and everything that I needed, God provided every single step of the way, and made my transition out of that relationship. Outside of the emotional, I would say, hurt that I had, everything else was just smooth. And that's another thing. You have to get in touch with the the voice on the inside of you, the Holy Spirit, God on the inside of you, so that you know that what you're doing is based on what you're being led to do, as opposed to you just feeling like you need to do it. Because there are a lot of times you feel like, I'm done with you, I need to get out of this relationship, but that's not what God is saying.
wow, that is
Yeah.
that is that is very important. I'm going to come back to that and talk about
Right.
the transition. For those
Right.
that are joining us on Facebook, I'm talking to Miss Addie. She is giving us all the juice about what happened during her
Choose.
old relationship, so we could learn from that. She's
Okay.
in a new relationship and she's been married for 14 years in this new relationship.
No. Yeah.
So for those that are just joining us, if you want to know what we've been talking about, it's about divorce. Okay.
Right.
And please kindly share this video as you are joining us on Facebook. Share this video so that other people can benefit from what we are talking about tonight. And there'll be more information on relationship, not just about divorce, that we are going to share before we round up tonight. We still got some
Awesome.
good time to talk about more Jews. Now, you spoke about you talking to God before you finally said, all right, I'm gonna part ways. And I feel that that is one of the toughest thing that a lot of people in this kind of situation of I want to leave this relationship that they get into. It's hard. I don't even say it's hard for them, but because they don't have that spiritual connection with God, they feel like
Mm.
maybe God won't talk to them. Maybe, as a matter of fact, maybe God will say no. because they've been going to church all this while, and they hear pastors talk about, okay, we should not divorce, we should stay together. So it's like, well, God doesn't.
Ah.
So if I'm talking to God, I know that automatically is a no. Okay.
Ah,
And sometimes people come to me as well that, hey, should they divorce? And when I counsel them, I always want to leave it to the point that I cannot grant you a divorce paper or tell you that you should divorce. Like, I don't have that power to do that,
right.
especially if we say we are Christians and you are following the tenets, what the scripture says, what the Bible says, because what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Let no man. So I'm a man. So I cannot put asunder. So what I tell people is I lead them back to God. If
Yeah.
God joined you guys together, then God has a
That
way,
that's the key word.
you
That's the
know,
key word.
to break you guys apart and say, okay, you messed up, or this relationship is over. You see, people got to understand that every relationship has a due, not a due date, a termination date. Every relationship, either friendship, either working relationship, either love, romantic relationship, there is a due date. The due date for some people is till death do us apart. The due date for some people is death doesn't have to do them apart. They will create their own death and will do them apart.
Oh goodness.
You know,
Uh-huh.
so it's different with everyone, but bottom line is, and I love when you say that you spoke to God, is that, look, don't let anyone give you a divorce license or to say that you should divorce. Speak to God. Let God tell you, because the funniest thing is God knows the beginning from the end and the end from the beginning, so he knows
Exactly.
how the relationship is going to pan out. And if you are
Mhm.
with the wrong person, it's like, look, I didn't join you together. You actually joined yourself together. Okay.
Right.
So maybe this may not be it. Yeah, I guess you want to say something.
So, Mr. Femi, I'm so glad that you said that. And I think that, I want to go on the other side of that coin, still, saying the same thing that you were saying, but going on the other side of the coin based on, again, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. I think that's the beginning of where you start from. Did God really call us to be together? Did he join us together? Where is this my ordained relationship? Because I really believe marriage is about destiny fulfilling, purpose building, that's what it is about. And that's why, God um created woman to be with man, to help him to be able to meet these goals and fulfill destiny together and conquer together and all of that. Now, also understand that there are consequences to actions, right? So while you may have been called together, and this is my thought process regarding it, marriage is work. I think that somehow we fail to, and I'm speaking based on my experience, as a woman who has been married before, as well as a Christian woman. There weren't any real resources available to me at that time that I could go to and explain my situation and explain what I was going through, and that would give an advice and say, hey, you know, um, pray about it. If this is what God wants you to do, he will lead you in a direction. All I kept hearing from every single outlet I went to is, you just have to be patient, God is going to work it out. I'm like, nah, it's not working out. No, it's not. I can see this, I feel this, and I'm like, it's getting worse. Right, it's getting worse. It's getting, I mean, there are other things going on here that is really threatening my livelihood, and I cannot continue to remain here and hope for change to come. Right, I'm like, I would rather be in a separate place, and then we can both maybe work on our individual issues, and if God will bring us back together again, fantastic. But if not, I'm willing and I'm ready to accept where I messed up. And in this case, I messed up from the fact that I didn't really see God's face regarding this marriage. I just wanted to be with somebody. And this was somebody who said, who loved me. And I was like, okay. And I know that you love me and you show me love and all of these things. So it was, that's why I said it was really a tumultuous time. It was really a torment, because I was just tormented in my spirit. You can imagine going to spiritual leaders and they're like, you have to stay. I'm like, based on everything that you're hearing, I have to stay. It's like, well, you have to stay, you have to be patient. I will say another thing, Minister Femi. My father is an amazing man, and my father knew everything I was going through, even though I did quite tell it to him. I was mostly speaking to my mom sometimes. Um, but my father wrote me a letter after I had prayed to God, because I was still dilly dallying. And my father wrote me a letter. And I think that is important that every woman should hear this, because a lot of times, when we are going through this, we're thinking we've disappointed our family, we've disappointed, our friends, we've disappointed ourselves. And my father wrote me a letter and said, whatever decision you make, I will stand by you. But also know that, should you decide that, you're going through, or you're going to get a divorce, I am not disappointed in you. Understand that this is just another aspect of your life, an experience that you are going to add to your life experiences. You can't do anything that's going to disappoint me. You can't do anything that's going to make me love you any less as a daughter. I know the daughter I raised, and I know that you have done the best that you could. He's like, a lot of it I know because you didn't share it with me, but I also understand the decision that you need to make. So whatever decision you make, we're good. If you decide to stay, I support you. If you decide to leave, I support you. But I also understand the staying part, I mean, the leaving part is hard for you because of your mindset. And understand that it will not cause any disappointment. You would not have failed the family. You would not be a disgrace, because that's some of the burdens that we bear, as women. But I'm going to talk about divorce in of itself, because I believe that a lot of times, like I said, it's the fault of both partners, but one partner has more of that, blame. Whether, it's the unwillingness to change, the unwillingness to seek out, like tools and resources just to help with the marriage. And these are the frustrations sometimes. It's like, I feel like it's only one person that's doing all the work, and all of those things. But that letter from my father served also as my release, because I now knew that, at least for my example as a man, he didn't think that I had failed. I hadn't failed in his eyes.
Mm. And a lot of people, especially women in that situation, they,
Right.
because they fear their father.
Hmm.
Maybe not use the word fear, but fear in terms of respect, and they
Right.
don't want to disappoint
Right.
their father or their parent, whatnot, and they kind of hold back and say, okay, well, let me keep hiding this information. Let me, try and stay in this relationship for another
Hmm.
1 year, for another 2 years, and see how things go. So your father, that was like getting that letter from your father was like the kind of sign that gave it to you, like, okay, all right, you making the right decision in addition to what God said.
Right. It was a comfort to me at that time, because then it was almost like an okay for my decision. That I knew that my father wasn't going to be disappointed. Because another thing is like, hey, you also don't want to hear, well, I told you so, you shouldn't have done it, da 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 da. And all the people who said you shouldn't have, who probably saw the red flags before you did. And you don't need that additional, at least not initially. You don't need that additional, not at that time that you need to make such a crucial decision.
Okay. And I know people are listening right now, and especially those that are on the fence of, should I break up? Should I not break up? Should I divorce or not divorce, due to whatever challenges that they are experiencing right now in their relationship. What would
Right.
be your advice for someone who is on that defense and like, should I go ahead with this or shouldn't I go ahead with this?
My heart really goes out to people who are struggling with this decision right now. Again, like I said, I am by no means an advocate for divorce. I love love. I love marriage. I think that, the first things first is to go back to the beginning. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Find out, and dig deep and figure out if you all were put together by God. What were the distinct things that God spoke to you about this woman? What were the distinct things that God spoke to you about this man? How did you know that this was your wife? How did you know that this was your husband? What were those things? And let's not base it on, the physical. Let's base it on exact things that God spoke regarding this person to you. Now, I'm not saying that if you were not even in a place to hear from God at that point in time, it means your relationship is a bust. But you have to start there. And if you don't have any distinct things to point to, then you now have to pray and seek God's face and say, hey God, alrighty, we're having trials, we're having tribulations. It seems like, we're having differences and it seems like we can't overcome this. What is our next step? Because I am also a believer that, like you said, some relationships, they're supposed to be ever after, and some are not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be there for whatever length of time, and holding on is just going to cause additional damage to you both, whether it's, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. You have to think about it from that standpoint. Right now, in addition to that, if you guys find like, okay, well, we want to work it out, we want to see, I would say get a counselor. Go to counseling. Go and find a good marriage counselor, whether that's faith-based or not, but find a marriage counselor that can help you guys to walk, to kind of walk your steps back to when your problems or your issues began, and then give you guys, I would say, action steps, action items to work through so that you guys can have a way, first of all, to communicate. Because the biggest part of all this, and what is really the root of divorce, is we're not on the same page. We're not communicating. We're not saying the same thing. I could be saying one thing, you could be saying another thing. We're just not on the same page. So how do we meet each other at our point of need? How can I meet you where we're having a misunderstanding? How can you meet me where we're having a misunderstanding? Can I bring myself to a place where I can understand you? I may not necessarily agree with what you're saying, but I can understand and appreciate you from where you're coming from, and vice versa. you know and then what are the things that we have in common that we can begin to work together as a couple to begin to strengthen and to begin to highlight even more in our relationship, as opposed to we are so different, saying you don't do this, I don't do that. I think that the couples who are most successful are the couples that have I would say a lot of things in common and work on those things in common together. Whether it's like, hey, I like to watch TV, so we both sit down and watch TV together. It's time being spent together, learning each other. Or whether, hey, I like exercising, so we go exercising together. Or we like reading books, or I like, TV. Or, hey, we're entrepreneurs, so we like starting businesses. What business do you have on your mind? All right, how can I help you? So those are things, because it's, again, as we said, it's not just about the romance and the butterflies and all that. You have to find other things outside of that, to make your relationship well-rounded.
Yeah. So seeking counseling, talking to God, asking God if this relationship was ordained by Him in the first place. If you
Right.
guys were destined together. I mean, I love those important facts and points that you just explained. And I also think that um, people need to understand, or one of the things that I recommend for people, let me just put it this way. One of the things I recommend for people, and it's kind of in line with what you said, is basically have a list. Have a
Mhm.
list and have a table on that list, the likes and dislikes. What are the likes about your partner? What do you enjoy about your partner? What do you like about them? List all those things down. And then on the other side, what do you dislike about your partner? Maybe it's the way they yawn. Maybe it's the way they snore.
That's petty.
you
I'm
know,
like, I don't like the way you chew your food. You making too much noise.
right. I don't like the way you always squeeze the toothpaste from the top. I mean, those,
Mm,
or I mean, not putting the toilet seat down. It could be those things that you just dislike about your partner. You know, I mean, what are your pet peeves? I can understand, but sometimes those things that we list down, they are just superficial. They're not deep enough.
right.
Not things that should break the camel's back. They're not things that should break that relationship. You
True.
can still salvage that relationship if you could get a good counselor or a relationship coach that can help you guys walk through that. I know a man that was telling me, a mentor of mine, that was telling me maybe a month ago. He said, Femi, do you know one other thing that I see about you is that you are a bridgeologist. A bridgeologist. I said,
A bridgeologist.
a bridgeologist. I said,
Oh,
talk
oh
to me.
wow, I like that word.
I love that, and I've not even shared it yet. Add that to my title. I said, what do you mean a bridgeologist? He said, you help people um, bridge gap. No, 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 no. Actually, he called it a gapologist. A
A
gapologist.
gapologist.
A
Okay.
gapologist. So you help people to bridge the gaps in their relationship. And
Yeah.
when you really look at it, we have gaps in our relationship because our background is different. Even you could
Yeah.
come from the same town, but your background will still be different because you were born by different parents. You were raised
Right.
different spoon. I mean, your environment, where you went to school, things that you did, you were exposed to, your upbringing, all those will be differences or bring about differences in your relationship and how you see things. So pretty much at the bottom of our problems, looking at the root of the problems, because that's another thing. People don't look at the root of the problems.
Right.
They're always looking at the fruit of the problems. We have problems, but how did they start? What is the genesis of this problem?
Right.
So for someone like me, I help people to see those differences. This is what he says. This is what she says. This is what he wants. That's what she wants. But how do you help them to bridge that gap and bring them in the way that they can see and understand each other? Like, for an example, there was a couple that I counsel. They've been married for many, many years. I think maybe beyond 14 years or so. And they were having issue. The wife didn't like the fact that on Friday, the husband just wants to spend time on his own. He wants to hang out with his boys. And she feels
Yeah, I
like,
had that
well,
conversation ahead of time.
and she feels like, look, so I'm going to be stuck with the children at home. Like, so I don't have time for to have fun as well. And
Mhm.
I had to talk to her and say, okay, let's listen to the reason why he wants to spend Friday night, hang out with his boys and chill. And he says, look, I've been working all week along. I am tired. Sometimes I'm working double, I'm working triple, I'm working long hours. I'm tired. I need to relax and de-stress myself. And the
And
way to
that's his
de-stress
way.
myself is to go out and have fun with my boys. And I said, woman, did you understand that? And
Really.
then, oh, I know. Really, but I didn't say woman. But also, I said, look, here's an important thing. You, as a wife, you also want a me time too. It's just that
Right.
you are thinking that you want to make the sacrifice, that nobody is getting that me time. We all need to focus on the children. But you got to understand, while you trying to focus on these children, you got to keep focus on your partner too and yourself. Because if you don't have enough energy, there's no way you're going to help those kids. If you don't love yourself, there's no way you're going to show love to those kids. As a matter of fact, you'll be so stressed out that the entire house is just in tension. It's just everything is all heated. Okay. So it's good that everybody has a me time. So that was my advice to them. Everyone needs a me time to distress, to think about yourself, to relax, to help you to compose yourself back together again. Because when you are able to do that, then you can be fully present in that relationship and you can actually do more for your partner. And they
Right.
both got it and understand that, okay, there has to be a me time for everybody. Maybe when I'm chilling, you are spending time with the kids. And when you are chilling, I am taking care of the kids. But bottom line of what I'm saying is there are things that you can salvage in that relationship. It may not
Right.
be that you need to actually have that divorce right now, that you can still
Mm,
make things work as long
mm.
as you are able to, seek counseling and seek God's face. You're about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that a lot of things also come from not really understanding what our roles are
Mm-hmm.
in the relationship, and maybe being rigid about those roles. And because it's been said that hey, the wife does this and the husband does that, sometimes we're inflexible in our mindsets of how that should work. One of the things that I did after my divorce was I just kind of went back to the basics with myself, and did a lot of introspection. Now, introspection, I was talking to one of my brothers yesterday, and I told him, I said, introspection is I said a different word when I described introspection, but introspection is a harsh disciplinarian. If you allow introspection in, it's a harsh look at yourself. It's looking at yourself and pointing out the areas that you don't want to talk about, the things that you don't want to admit to and say, this is where I messed up. Introspection allows you to do that, and do that from a standpoint where you're not self-deprecating, but you're looking at yourself in a way to get better. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge, right? So you first have to acknowledge that, and introspection allows you to do that. And then in so doing, also looking at other ways that I can evolve, because the only thing that's constant is change. So we get into a relationship, as long as our values are on the same playing field, everything is fine. We're on the same, we have the same mindset in terms of my deal breakers, that's fine. Now, as far as like roles, we had to talk about it as we were going into as I was going into my second marriage. That was one of the things that I didn't do in my first marriage. We didn't talk about anything. So going into my second marriage, we talked about everything. We talked about family. What's your family background? What's going on in your family? Your people cool? My people cool? Let me find out. Are there any hot spots that I should know about so that we can take care of this? We know how to manage that. We talked about values. We talked about children. We talked about money, and just being transparent where you're at. I'm good with finances, or, hey, I suck at finances. My money situation is not right now, because when we're in that romance phase, we're talking about a lot of things, and we're not really focusing on the main things that allow us to live and continue on with the marriage. And like you said, roles. What are your expectations of me as a wife? Are you going to be expecting me to cook every day? Are you going to, because if that's the case, we're going to need to talk about the situation and the arrangement. We may have to get a maid or something. um but those kind of things, speaking about those, what are what are your expectations of me? What are my expectations of you as a husband? And are we flexible in those things that we're thinking about? Am I going to be like, hey, the man handles everything so well, whatever, don't expect any help from me? Or you're going to say, hey, the woman is the one who takes care of the children, and when I want to go out, I don't have any say, like, we don't have any discussion about it. I do what I want to do. So those are the things that we kind of talked about a lot before we actually, got married.
That's really awesome. I love the way, because I was going to ask a question really regarding that okay, what
Hmm.
did you learn in the past relationship that you avoid in this new relationship, that now
Right.
you are doing things differently?
Yeah.
You've been married for
We,
14 years and it's going to go way farther than that, forever and
amen.
forever.
Amen.
So
Amen.
basically, you mentioned few things that you spoke about: the family values, the family background,
Right.
what's going on in your family, what should I know, okay, what are the hot spots, okay, who's that, your sister or your brother, your sister especially, should I should watch out for okay.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Right. And
Hmm.
you spoke about finances. Okay, where are we in these finances?
Hmm.
Are we at the point where you have the money, or I don't have money, or I have loans, and that, okay, when we walk into this new relationship, we're not buying big house. What are the goals as well that we're trying to put together?
Right.
And also, you talk about children. How many children you want to have? Some couples, you'll be surprised what is breaking their relationship or what is causing argument. It could just be how many children versus I want 3, you want 4, you want 5, that they did not really talk about prior to entering that relationship. And a lot of people also hide information because they are going to the relationship based on feelings and social pressure as well. Okay, all right. I'm pressured because my friends are getting married, or my mom, my parents are saying you got to bring somebody home. So a lot of their own baggage, they are hiding it from the significant person that they want to get married to. So they're not really showing what is in the trunk. Okay,
Mm.
so we have so many of those issues happening that right now, we may not even talk about, we may not spend the entire time to talk about them on the show, but maybe next time we can discuss a lot of things that you need to have talked about, especially if you are single watching this or you are dating. This is the stage where you can actually have a serious and deep conversation and the topics that you should be bringing up with that significant person. Yeah.
Right. I was going to say something. I think culturally, I don't know if there are any, well, I think culturally, these things were not talked about. It's like, hey, a man finds you and he wants to marry you, and great.
Mhm.
These conversations were not encouraged to be had. Like, let's have this conversation. And I believe that um, one of the things that I also looked back on was like, we really should have done premarital counseling, because I believed, at least back then, maybe some of these things would have been unearthed.
Mhm.
I don't know if the information that they had back then is as vast as the information that they have now, but I believe it would have been a great help just to have premarital counseling so that we can talk about some things, because sometimes we're going at loggerheads, but when you have a neutral party who's speaking to you and providing you with some mindsets regarding certain things, it might help you have a paradigm shift,
Right.
a change of heart, a change in mind sort of thing going on, as opposed to, oh, because it's you and you being that person that is in front of me that I don't want to hear from right now, telling me I'm not going to hear it. But I believe if there was premarital counseling, it would have helped a whole lot.
Yeah.
It may have changed my mind or his mind in reference to where we're going to go ahead with this marriage, as opposed to us just, we're so in love. And I love that part. Again, I am an advocate for that part, but I'm also a realist in the fact that love is not enough to hold a marriage together, especially when you're not on the same page regarding a lot of things.
Right. Right. Now, you said something. I'm just going to mention that real quick, and then I'm going to segue into maybe something different, or maybe ask you one more question about divorce that people can really
Hmm.
have a lot of knowledge from. So you mentioned about roles in the relationship.
Right.
Very important. And we come from a culture whereby roles are typically defined by gender.
Right.
And I've come to the a new school of thought that roles should not be defined by gender.
Okay.
Roles are defined by your skill set and the values that you have and the experience that you have. Okay. Because we all have gifts. Okay. And those gifts are what God has already deposited in us. And those gifts, the skill set, can help us in the relationship. Let me just elaborate a little bit about this for those that are probably listening. I know some of you guys might be like, let me clean my ears. Let me listen to Minister Gfem. What is he saying? Let me elaborate a little bit. And I used to have that mindset. A man should be the one to do X, Y, and Z. A woman should be the one to do. Women should always cook. Men should always go out there and make the money. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But there are situations whereby the woman, she's not gifted at cooking. She sucks at cooking. And you as a man,
Are
you
you being shady right
no,
now,
no,
Minister
I'm not being
Gfem?
shady.
I'm
I'm
just,
being
I'm
honest,
kidding.
and I'm trying to help as many relationship out right now because that is the reason why, as a matter of fact, why I founded that National Relationship Equity Day. Okay, it's about fairness in relationship equity is about being fair in the relationship and
Awesome.
utilizing your gift, your values, your skill set to promote each other in the
Love
relationship.
that. I
So,
love that.
and some women are being restricted from exercising the gift that God has given to them. Like, think about a woman who could be a boss running companies. And because society and culture says you must be a stay-home mom, I'm the man, I gotta go out there and make money. Now you sacrifice your gift. You just become a stay-home mom, and that's it. And he goes out and make money using his gift that God has given to him.
Right.
It's like, are you striking power balance? Are you helping each other to develop and to be who God has called them to be? I mean,
Right.
there's nothing wrong to say, okay, I want to become a stay-home mom and all that, but you can still balance that being an entrepreneur or working or using other gifts that you have. There are so many gifts. And why can't the men cook? I mean, something happened this past weekend that I cooked for my wife. I'm not really the person that cooks in my house. My wife cooks because she's a better cook than me. And she knows how to throw down. But once in a while, I assist. But I don't look at that role as that is a woman's role. I look at it
Gotcha.
that that's a gifting and she's good at it. And once in a while, I help out too. So I am trying to improve my little skill set in cooking. So
You know, I could do a little something.
I
I
can
could
do
do a
a
little
little
something,
something.
something.
And she's
Okay.
encouraging me and enabling me to do that. Like, okay, stir up the gift that you may even have it. I mean,
Okay.
I traveled a while back. Let me just say one this, and then I'll let you
I
check.
think maybe when you say that, if anybody has questions, I don't know. So,
Yeah. So, guys, if you have questions, if you're on Facebook, let me know if you have questions. If you are watching on Zoom, kindly type your questions and or if you want to join on this video, if you're on Zoom and you have a question, let me know, and then maybe I can allow you to just speak freely with the video on. But let me just say this real quick. Few years ago, I went to Hawaii. My wife and
nice.
I went to Hawaii, and we did an excursion. And this excursion that we did, it took us to different villages in Hawaii and
Mm,
different cultures in Hawaii. And I was so surprised that there was a particular culture where the men, the husbands, are the ones responsible to cook. Only the men, only the husbands responsible to cook. So will you now say in those culture, in Yoruba, and maybe you can help me interpret this in English.
okay.
If they were to see them, want to for back power, want to for back
And
power.
like basically saying that the woman has done something to enchant the man, and that's why
Right,
the man is now, the one cooking in the house, type of
right.
thing.
But it is not. So we can't keep looking at your role or my role as is defined by the sex. It's actually defined by your skill set. I mean,
Right.
think about it in the Bible. There is nothing that the Bible says, and I've preached this before. Okay, I've preached
Mhm.
this before, and I typically preach the Genesis, the beginning. That what are the roles of men? Yes, God expects the man to cultivate. I get that. Wants to cultivate. God expects the man to have the vision. But are you telling me that God does not expect the woman to do the same thing? Or when God says, I have made Eve as an helpmate, did he actually define the role of Eve? Because when he says somebody is your helpmate, Bible says, I made her as a helpmate. She's as strong as the man.
Yeah.
She's as competent as the man. So
Right.
whatever the man could do, she is capable to do the same thing as well. So we cannot keep thinking that, oh, this is has to be a man's role. Oh, to make money, he has to be the man's role. What if he dies tomorrow, and then what
Mhm.
happens to you being a stay-home mom all this while? I mean, how are you going to get up on your feet and start, running around? But again, that is just a little bit of introduction into that little bit of topic right there. We
I will say this before you kind of segue, Minister Femi. The unfortunate part of this is because a lot of us on here are, I would say, either from uh, at least some type of faith-based background. This is the kind of narrative that needs to be promoted. This is the kind of narrative that needs to be strengthened within the faith-based communities that we are from, um, and pretty much shattering the construct of um, roles based on gender as opposed to roles based on your skill sets and what you bring to the table, and your giftings. A lot of this is not being taught, so that if some of what you're saying right now might be heresy to some people, like what is he saying? But indeed, you're right, and it'll be great to be able to extrapolate those points and expound on them and give specific points, as well as, I would say, backing scriptures. Like you said, help me. Did God say the woman is the one supposed to be in the kitchen to cook? I believe that is our own societal constructs that define that.
right.
Yeah.
That's tradition. That's just
Yeah,
tradition.
not necessarily what has been spelled out for us in our faith-based books, whether it's our Bible or Quran or whatever. And I'm really, really glad that this conversation is happening, because I believe it will set a lot of people free. But beyond that, it will allow people to really have or enjoy their relationship to the full extent. What I had written down
Mhm.
for myself was that roles are flexible.
Right.
You know, today I might be the breadwinner, bringing home money, whatever, and tomorrow it might be you. And we're flexible in that regard. I also grew up in a home, again, that was like that. My father cooked. My father cooks really, really well, and my mom be chilling. Like, hey, and it's not because hey she can't cook, but like you said, your wife is a better cook than you are. My father is just a better cook than she is. So she cooks basics, he cooks, hey, the chef stuff. Like, hey, you want some flambe? I'll
The
do
top
that.
notch.
Right, right, right. But we need to have these conversations within our communities and help I would say newlyweds, recently engaged, dating couples, so that their minds can be freed up and they can truly enjoy their relationships and see what their future looks like, and not be like, oh my God, I love him, but if I marry him, this is the end of the world. I will be in the kitchen cooking, popping babies, doing all of that, and vice versa. Like, I mean, if I marry her, her expectation is like, whatever she wants, I'm going to be the only breadwinner in the house. Like, we just need to have those conversations and have them, I would say, in a robust way,
Awesome.
if that makes sense.
Yep, it does make sense. Before we spend another 5, 10 minutes to talk about something else, I want to bring up an event that is going to be coming up very soon. It's
Awesome.
called Becoming the Person Your Partner Wants. Becoming the person your partner wants. And I did this last year with it's like a workshop with couples, and it was fantastic. So we're bringing it back again this year in a different way.
Okay.
Last year we had a venue that people came, and but now COVID-19 hit, so we still want to make sure that we are giving all the right information to help a lot of couples out there. And Miss
Right.
Addie is gonna be joining us on this. Woo-wee! It's gonna be juicy. It's gonna be fantastic. So,
Oh my
if
God.
you are interested, I mean, we're gonna talk about a lot of topics. I mean, talk about sex, communication, forgiveness, building trust. So many things we are going to lay out, and it's gonna be a month-long workshop. It's gonna be a month-long workshop where you and your partner and other couples are gonna come into this sessions, and you're gonna have a ball and you're gonna learn a lot. So don't freak out. Don't feel like I'm gonna get mad coming out of these sessions. Okay, that's why it's really a lot of men don't like going to counseling. It's like, okay, this is where they're gonna blame me and put the blame on me for my issues. Everybody is gonna learn from this event. It's gonna be awesome. So if you are interested, we're only looking for a few couples. We are not looking for a lot of don't let me say we're not looking for a lot of couples. Let me just say that the uh the spot is just limited. Okay, the spot is limited. So if you are interested, you got to let us know now that you are interested so we can reserve your spot. So what you can do is send a request or a message to askforcoaching@gmail.com. If you're uh on Zoom with me, I'm typing it right now in the comment section. Askforcoaching@gmail.com. So my people watching on Facebook, it's called askforcoaching@gmail.com. Send me a request that you want to be a part of this um, 1 month workshop. It's gonna be fantastic. Trust me. There's
Right.
gonna
It's
be
gonna
date
be
night.
virtual,
It's
right?
gonna be virtual and there's gonna be date night. So you're gonna be in your house, relaxing, chilling with your partner, and getting all the information. So make sure you let us know. Now, let me segue into this. We just probably have about 5, 10 minutes to go on this broadcast. I know it went back quick, right?
It did. I'm looking at the time. I'm like, wow, it's 9:18 already.
Exactly. It went back quick. And if you guys have any question, please let us know ASAP that you have a question. Now, I just want us to spend about a few minutes to talk about one or two challenges that you've discovered among some of the couples that you've related with, especially the newlyweds. Okay, because I know you into weddings and decor and all that. Okay, and you probably have relationship with some of these couples. And
Really?
what do you think the challenges that they are facing? Maybe after the honeymoon phase has dwindled and phased out.
One thing I would say is just the honesty of what their challenges are in the first place, right? A lot of people, just want to, oh, we're good, we're doing very well, everything is fine, that type of thing. But it's really not fine. You're really struggling, right? You're struggling, and you're finding out now that we're living in the same space. Like you said, I don't like the way you yawn. I don't like the way you cough. I mean, you're kind of messy. Your stuff is all over the place. Or let's talk about sex, because that's one of the biggest issues in marriage. For some, I feel,
Say
let
that
me be
again.
honest.
I don't think everybody heard you. Let's talk
Oh
about
my
what?
God, is sex in
Yes.
marriage.
He says
So,
sex,
so,
sex.
so,
Go ahead,
so
go
I think that there's so much information out there for us women on how to be a wife, how to do this, how to do that. We have so many conferences and workshops, being a better wife, wifing up, step up to be the best wife, that type of thing. You tell me, Mr. Femi, I don't see much going on out there for men, right?
ahead.
And I feel like even growing up as a young woman, we're taught so much about our body, being aware. Well, I don't know. I was taught so much about my body, how to be aware of my body, how to be, as I was going into puberty, my mom had a conversation with me about what I should expect, how my body is going to be changing, all of those things. I don't know if this is a conversation that is had with most men as they're growing up, because, or where they even get their sex education from.
Mm.
Where do you get your sex education from? How do you understand sex? We women have, like I said, we have a lot of books, we have a lot of teachings, so many things going on, right?
Now let's speak
And
about that a little bit. Let's speak about that. Because you said women, they have resources out there for them, and I totally agree. And I think they have resources available for them, but are they really utilizing those resources in their
right,
relationship? That's one. Now, I want you to think about that. But let's go with the man stuff. I don't think there are a lot of resources out there for men because, I mean, think about it. Guys can attest to things. I mean, you're growing up, you and your boys, you guys talk, I just,
really, they
I
don't
just,
know nothing either. They know.
I mean, you are right because I remember I did not have my dad did not have a sex talk with me, but there was
Wow.
one day where he just showed up in the house and he gave me one piece of condom. Like, boy, you need to strap up.
So no, stop right there, Mr. Femi. Stop right there. That's a problem. Just giving you a condom, like, okay, figure it out.
Right,
First of
right.
all, how, first of all, where does this go? And then I'm just supposed to figure it out. Who am I supposed to figure it out with? Right? I'm just supposed to go and find somebody and figure. You understand what I'm saying? So
I
there's
agree
such
with
a
you.
disparity in the
Yes.
teachings for men and for women, and I think that a lot of men have not really learned how to be a lover, right?
Yeah.
You know how to have sex,
Mhm.
because hey, it's a physiological thing. You're aroused, we see it, boom, and the body has a natural reaction and the way that goes. But how do you be a lover? And I can only say that after reading Songs of Solomon, I
Hey,
like,
talk to
yo,
me
that
about
is
that one.
no, that's in the Bible, yo. That's in the Bible. Go check it out. That man was a lover to his
Ooh.
lover.
Yes.
The way he described her, the way he talked about her, the way he talked about how he wanted to make love. I'm like, yo, man, this is awesome. But a lot of gentlemen don't know this,
Right.
and I have actually experienced that where a lot of young couples actually have this challenge. Like, it's like, yes, you just get there, boom, boom, like no preamble, no nothing, just okay, all right, you good, but I'm not good. And we women take a lot more to be satisfied,
Yeah,
sexually.
it takes women a long time. I've always
Yeah,
said,
so I feel like that's a major thing. Another thing is just that coming together, that coming together of new couples, now us learning how to live together, learning how to be ourselves with one another, because I feel like we're all putting on a show when we're dating, right?
right. Yeah.
Is a pony show.
Hmm.
I'm gonna look my best all the time. I'm gonna look good all the time, that type of thing. But now that we're married, what are the other aspects of me? The not so pretty parts, sometimes the ugly parts. And
Yeah.
are you able to deal with it? Are we able to deal with it? Not by just accepting that that's it, but hey, I can correct you in love, and I can work with you, and we can work together on a way for you to be better in this aspect. So,
Right. Speaking about the communication and sex, I think there is a missing piece in that with people,
mm,
with couples, that they
mm,
don't have dialogue or enough dialogue about sex, because sex is a sensitive thing. And um they there is actually, I mean, I think for the women, sometimes they're kind of shy to kind of bring it up, and they also don't want to fragile that guy's ego, like, dude, you're not doing nothing, man. I mean, 5 minutes, that's all you got.
all
Okay.
right, speak for yourself. You- I, hmm, I don't know. Maybe people on this, chat or Facebook can comment on that. I think that we women are always willing to have the conversation as long as you feel safe in that relationship. I mean, I know for myself, I'm comfortable talking about it if that's the person that I'm with. Um, but I believe that a lot of men, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the ego is already there because it's like, oh, why are you trying to tell me what to do? I know what to do. But like you said, how did you learn what to do? Did you learn what to do by reading? Did you learn what to do by researching? Or did you just, hey, somebody gave me a condom and said, figure it out?
Yeah.
And I figured it out. And none of my lovers ever told me I was bad.
And I totally agree with you. And I
Hmm.
think we may not have enough time to talk
No, we
about
don't.
that,
We
but
got
I
four
just
more
wanted
minutes.
us to just share that real quick. And for everyone to know that when we start these couples events, this workshop, these are the things that we're actually going to talk about. We're going to delve in and expand on them. So if you are interested, kindly sign up and just go to my email. I mean, just write to my email, excuse me, to askforcoaching@gmail.com. And we're going to go in depth with all these topics. But here's one thing that I want to share, and this will probably help the fellows out before we round up. You could have gained experience from who you've messed with in the past, but let me tell you, the woman that you married is a different experience.
Right.
It's a different experience. So do not think your old experience should always count for this, because woman's body, you can't say they are the same. So you got to learn it. You got to figure it out. There are some things that can be basic, but there are other things that are not. For an example, the I'm trying to remember the right word. The spots for women, that
The
sensitive
the the
spot.
the the G
Not the
spots.
G spot. I'm talking about the other sensitive spot that can arouse
Okay.
a woman. Some women, maybe you just kiss them on the neck and they're already there. And you could have had those women in the past. Maybe now kissing your wife, man, you kiss out to the neck 10 minutes, 20 minutes, she's not there. So you got to find other spots in our body. So these are the things that
Learning her.
I want people
Learning
to
her.
understand, that when it comes to sex, don't think that your old experience will account for this new experience. You are dealing
Right.
with a different individual, and you are mating spiritually. You are mating spiritually with this person. So you are connecting with this person. So you can't be like, what I've connected with person A, person B. I'm going to bring that into this new relationship. And that is what is missing. When your partner complains about you, it's because you are basing it off of what you've experienced before. But your partner
Right.
is not fulfilled because you've not actually identified the areas and what really makes your partner to feel this thing, and for you guys to really have that intimate relationship. I mean, there's difference between having sex and making love. They are totally two different things, okay? And your partner,
You're gonna have to break that down
well,
next
sometimes your
time.
partner just want that sex and quickie things, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you have to know when your partner wants that. Sometimes they don't verbalize it, so you have to know. And sometimes your partner wants you like, you gotta slow down. Ooh, come on now. You gotta slow your rolls, you gotta lay everything well, prep everything well. You gotta have the
Well,
fun.
you're right. You're right about that. Hmm.
Give it to us. Give it to us.
It's a conversation that needs, again, like I said, needs to be expounded on. A
Right.
lot of times, even in marriage conferences that we go to or we attend, it's glossed over.
Mm-hmm.
It's glossed over, but it's a very huge component of relationships.
Right.
It's a very huge part of it. The three major things that affect relationships, money, sex, family. That those are the three things that affect relationships and cause relationships to break. So yeah, you're right about that. Um, the man, yes, and then the women, do we know how to articulate that? Do we know how to say, this is how, where, when I want to be touched, this is how I want to be handled? Do we know how to communicate that to our partners? Where we taught that? Some of us know, some of us like, is like the man will figure everything out, but he doesn't know how to figure everything out. He's not psychic, right?
It's not.
So you gotta sometimes point him to the right direction. And if you don't have any experience before your husband, then how do you know? You will know with the more intimate that you guys are together. You will know that, okay, I don't like when you do this, but when you do this, I really like that.
Right.
And to be able to communicate that and give him the green light, okay, do more of this, do more of that. And then maybe after, when we're not in such an intimate setting, talking about it without being shy or shameful. This is why we're married, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we can have these conversations freely without inhibitions.
Right. Right. And let me just drop this last point, and then I will let you say one or two things, and then we'll round up.
I'm gonna pray after
You know,
this.
is it what?
As I'm gonna pray after this. We gonna pray.
So you said this real quick about the what and how, and I typically call it the what and how syndrome in the relationship. The what and
Mhm,
how syndrome in the relationship, in the sense that you may know what you want, but you don't
mhm.
know how to communicate what you want to your partner.
Right.
Or you don't even know what you want, but you have an idea that if this guy or this girl does this, it would make me go cloud 9 and cloud 12 and keep on going extra miles. So we have that what and how syndrome in our relationship, that you want something but you don't know how to communicate that to your partner, but you keep holding your partner hostage of it, that, oh, he should know what to do, she should know what to do, you should know what I expect. Like, am I in your head that I should know what you expect?
Resentment.
So, but it's very important that a partner should know the what and how to communicate it, and how you want your partner to do it. If you want your partner to smack you on the butt, then say, look, put his hand right there, like, this is what you should be doing. Like, demonstrate, like, boy, smack this thing. And if he's doing
I
it
love it.
gently, it's like, he's kind of massage. It's like, no, like, saying, pa, pa, pa. Like, that is what.
I'm dead.
Listen,
You hey, you know what? I agree with you 100%.
yeah, because what men sometimes don't understand is, do you know that that smack actually excites the woman?
And Minister Femi, we could go on for, I would say we could go on for another 3 hours on this subject.
I know.
I think that yes. However, also understand that there's another side to that, where you as a woman do that, and all of a sudden your partner is like, oh my God, why did you do that? Because they have a construct of what sex should be like. But
Mm,
I don't, like I said, I don't want to elongate this conversation. We can go into all of that. Men who have issues with their wives or their wives
right, right.
being, I would say, maybe forward,
Right.
or being very vocal about their sexuality in their relationship. Some
Right.
men are not comfortable with that at all.
That's true. That is really true because some men would actually judge you and say, "Oh, you being
Oh,
a priest.
yeah,
Where did you
yeah.
learn that one from?" You know.
Mhm.
So I mean, that is another thing that men gotta
Oh, we gotta talk
understand,
about
and
this.
and they gotta be enlightened. I think we might need to kind of have this conversation sooner than before we go into that into that workshop. So,
We
ladies and
will.
gentlemen, don't worry. We'll bring this conversation back, and I'll bring Miss Addie back so we can talk a little bit
Thank
about
you. No, thank you for having me.
sex, the intimacy part of relationship. Another thing I want to say to the man is, listen, it's just coming to my head right now. You know that your job is not really fully done by releasing, or even if you're woman released, because if she's done and you are done, did you know that there is sometimes extra stuff that needs to come out of her, that that is not coming out yet? And because you are done, that doesn't mean you can't help her get it out. And I can tell you this: there are different ways you can help her get it out, but I can tell you this: a simple hug,
Right.
close with her. You see, not just do it and then you turn away. No, no, no. Like, you close her, you hold her. That simple hug for 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes, can help her release that extra stuff. That at the end of the day, she feels released, like, yes, this man, he did a great job. You did an excellent job. You did a powerful job. All right. Good, 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 good. All right. That's all the juice I got for you right now tonight.
Thank you, Minister Femi.
Thank you for coming on board. I really appreciate this. This was a great, excellent discussion. And I believe that everybody got something out of it. I know sometimes people are quiet because they are taking in a lot of information. Okay. This
Right.
might be like a high opener to them, like, wow, I did not consider this before. Wow, this is a new information. So we really appreciate everyone for joining this evening and for holding on and getting all the information out. And those that have shared this on Facebook, thank you. I really appreciate you. This is Pandemic Relationship Coaching. I have this every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So always check back in on my Instagram. So I'll probably be posting a link for Zoom if you want to join us via Zoom, and also on Facebook as well. Typically, I will have my Zoom linked to Facebook so that you guys could actually see Miss Addie or my guest. So, pardon me, folks on my Facebook, that you couldn't see the guest. I don't know what happened to Zoom this evening. It did not really allow me to connect. So maybe next week you'll be able to see my new guest. So thank you once again. And every Thursday we are back on Pandemic Relationship Coaching with your boys truly, Dr. Femi and Miss Heidi. Thank you once again. Any last final word that you just want to share with people real quick?
Well, no, I'm just gonna, say a quick prayer because I know that, these times have been tough on our minds and our relationships, whether it's, with your spouse, your partner, or, just your family members. So I'm just gonna say a quick word of prayer. Again, thank you for having me tonight. I hope that what I shared was able to help one person, at least one person. And I pray that, this platform will continue to be a blessing to others. For everyone who joined on tonight, I'm praying that, God would, keep you in this time, and he will keep your mind. He will keep he will keep your mind, he will keep your spirit, and he will help you to navigate through these times. This is not the end. This is an opportunity for us to learn more about ourselves and to get closer to God, and to understand his will for us and his purpose for us in these times. I pray that we will find our purpose in this time, and we will walk fully in it, in Jesus' name. So I'm praying that God help everybody. I'm praying that after this, when you come out of COVID, there's going to be testimonies galore of all the awesome, incredible things that you were able to accomplish during this time. Take it as a time of rest, you
Yes.
know. So
Yes, and
Yeah, and thank
really
you.
thank you. You said it the best, and be on the lookout for that workshop, becoming the person your partner wants. We are gonna release that very very soon. So if you are interested, it's a couple thing, it's a couples thing for couples. So make sure you send your request to askforcoaching@gmail.com. Askforcoaching@gmail.com. That's all the time we have this evening. Thank you for joining, and cheers to your improvement.